Reaping and roasting, yeah, that's what we do. Set 'em up, knock 'em down, make that cherry glow. Whiskey and cigars, the gentleman's cologne.
Cheers, y'all.
That sounds like a party just about to start, ladies and gentlemen.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to this fine radio program, podcast, and video extravaganza known internationally
Hi, Mom.
as the world-famous Smokin' and Toastin'. Our program is all about craft beer, fine spirits, and hand-rolled cigars, although today, a slight variation, because today is our annual pipe show. It's our Pipe Show 2023, and we're doing the show on location at the Railyard in Houston, which is actually right around the corner from our studio. But we had planned to do a show here several weeks ago when Docs was on, and we wound up, just because of weather, we wound up deciding to take it indoors. But Trey Melcher, who was on that show with us, is the proprietor here at the Railyard, a fine, I don't know, what do you call someone when they choose really good shirts? He's one of those guys.
Thank you.
That is a great shirt. Trey is here with us. I don't know if you're a pipe smoker or not, Trey.
I was telling Ian earlier, I actually have never smoked a pipe before.
Okay.
So.
Well, Ian is great at Pipe Smoking 101, so he'll guide you through the steps.
After today, you won't be able to say that anymore.
Yep, that's right. And then we also have on hand with us for this show my good friend and business partner, Mr. Patrick Fant, who is a pipe smoker and has one of the cooler pipes I've seen, by the way.
You know, I had to have this pipe repaired.
Yeah?
Because I broke the stem off.
Oh, no.
Dropped it or something. Or no, I tried to get it out and it broke.
I just cracked, yeah.
And
That happens time to
They
time.
fixed it and it's just as good as new. I don't know how they did that.
It's pretty amazing. They custom carve those stems out of, a lot of times, vulcanite is what they use.
Yeah. and it was this wood that broke.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So not even the stem part. Okay.
Not
wow.
this
Well,
black part.
what I like about it is that you can actually just set it down. Like, you don't even have to have a pipe holder for it. You can just set it right down.
And I go.
Well, or in theory. Yeah.
And just,
I love it.
That's cool.
and it stands right up. Look at that.
I love
This
it.
may surprise you, but that style of pipe is called a setter.
That does not surprise me at all. What surprises me is that you didn't say that already 10 minutes ago, because you're so in with the pipe info. You're so good with that stuff.
I do like the pipes.
So I will be struggling with my biggest pipe problem throughout the show, as I have with all the other pipe shows, which is
Keeping it lit?
while I talk. And so, Ian, I'm just formally asking you to do most of the talking on this show.
Noted.
Because I really want to smoke the pipe. So our show is number 357. It is our Pipe Show 2023. We are on location at the Railyard in Houston. Trey Melcher, Pat Fant, our special guest. And big thanks, by the way, to last week's special guest, beer nerd and friend of the show, Joel Swift.
Yeah,
as
that
we
was
did
super
for the
fun.
first time ever, a non-alcoholic beer blind taste test.
Now, you guys,
Wow.
don't worry. I brought alcoholic beer as a palate cleanser in between.
Hey, that's been a really growing market. There's a lot of options out there, even in IPAs, or I guess IPAs with quotes, right?
And actually, I think there were two beers that were outstanding.
ones.
One of them was an IPA. It was from Sam Adams. It was their non-alcoholic IPA. Did really well in the test.
Yeah,
And the other, we knew absolutely nothing about. In fact, it looked like I bought it to sort of throw an El Cheapo into the mix, because it looked like a PBR or something. It was called Texas Select,
Texas
and you know
Select.
what? It was actually really good. I would drink that.
And also the Guinness.
Oh, well,
Guinness
you're right.
Zero.
I forgot about that. Yes, the Guinness. The Guinness
Zero is-
non-alcoholic is.
I don't know if I could tell the difference if you put both of them next to it.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
So
I have to ask, speaking of Guinness, who was it that had the idea to have a beer company keep the world's records?
it does seem like a little bit of a.
I've always wondered that. Maybe as the show goes on, we can shed
We'll,
some light.
we'll try
we'll
to delve
explore that,
into
yeah,
that
a little bit.
In addition to delving into that, we will be doing some beer tasting on the program today from OEC Brewing Company in Oxford, Connecticut. We'll be tasting Triskel. It is their oak fermented country style lager. So we'll see what you think of that. From Evil Twin Brewing Company in New York City. And these are the guys that always have the most creative beer names.
The names are great.
We'll be tasting their IPA called The Weather Just Went From 90 to 55 Like It Saw a State Trooper. I'm not kidding. That's the name of the beer. And from a wonderful, wonderful brewery in Placentia, California, that's actually just called The Bruery.
Oh, yeah.
Their Sweet Magnolia Imperial Stout. So,
that sounds awesome.
Now, the other thing here is that I did bring a whiskey for us to taste. And I'm happy to open that up and we can taste it. But I was wondering if perhaps Trey wanted to show off a whiskey, because your whiskey selection here at the Railyard
It's so good.
is really good.
We were actually talking about this pre-show with Ian, looking at what would be something you guys maybe haven't seen before, or it's been a long time. So I think we maybe have some ideas, possibly.
All right. Well, we'll leave that to the point in the show when it comes up then, and look forward to it very ardently. And we will, of course, as we always do, bring you the this week's installment of the most popular segment on the program, a little something we call Drinking News. And Drinking News is the segment where we bring you a story that is actually reported in legitimate media somewhere that may or may not be about drinking, but is always best enjoyed if you've been drinking. And today's Drinking News teaser headline: the most ridiculous place to hide your meth. And we have that to look forward to. Plus, New Zealand is repealing their tobacco ban. We'll tell you about that. And one Colorado craft brewery is buying 2 more. So it's always better when you see craft breweries get sold if they get sold to another craft brewery. So we're excited about that. We're also excited about smoking pipes. And Ian has brought a lot of different pipe tobaccos here today, so I guess we'll be just doing
I did. So
an across-the-board
I brought
tasting.
this kind of for show-off stuff. This
Yeah.
is some random tins of tobacco that I have. And if anyone is interested, we can open any of them. But I also brought some that I've stored in these little canning jars. And I don't know if you heard that when I opened this one, but it actually popped
Oh, yeah.
because it's been sitting there like just in this jar for actually a few years. So some of this stuff I haven't seen in a while, and I thought it'd be fun to just bring some different style things, and we can try them, and you can put your nose on them, decide if you like them. But I think I'm going in. This is the Christmas blend from Peterson, quite a few years back, probably a 2009 or
Have you
2010.
brought that one on the show before, the Christmas blend? You remember?
I brought a W. Larson Christmas blend.
Okay,
at
so
one
this is
point
a
in
different
time.
one.
Right, so this is a Peterson, I think.
Okay.
We're going straight into the pipe on this one.
All right. And then you can pass that around once you get that taken care of there, and let everyone else try the Christmas blend.
Everyone
I
get a
am
nose
smoking
on
a
it.
Virginia here. This is the Aurora. This is what I packed into my pipe before the show started, because I knew that if I tried to pack it into my pipe after the show started, I wouldn't get to smoke any of it till the 3rd or 4th segment. So
There you go.
so I went with the Aurora. How's that smell, Pat?
Smells better than Galveston.
He says it smells better than Galveston.
I have
So-
plenty more, so if you don't love the way it smells, there's more.
I mean,
All right.
actually, I like the way Galveston smells. I can't really, say that, but
Trey,
this is better.
Trey,
it
we're
smelled-
out. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was saying, I thought it smelled like Christmas. That's what I got. It was kind of a little bit
Kind of
of
what it's supposed to.
thing.
Yeah. We are out on your porch, and of course, Christmas in Texas is a little bit different. But today, as we're recording the show, it's absolutely gorgeous out here. Like the perfect day to grab a pint of beer, sit outside, and enjoy, or maybe some whiskey, and enjoy it. And you do allow smoking and pipe smoking on your patio out here.
Yes,
That's correct.
absolutely. A while back, the city changed their rules on certain things, but yes, outside, it's always welcome.
Very good, very good. Well, the Railyard was, back in my younger days, which weren't that long ago. Railyard was a regular haunt for me.
give
So
that one a nose.
I don't get here as often lately as I did back in the day. But they've definitely upgraded the porch. That's just what I wanted to mention. This is a wonderful addition.
Well, you had asked me the other day about the pandemic, and this was actually something we were working on right before the pandemic, and then while we were closed, we actually came into this. This used to be the end of the building, and we blew out the walls and it did this really beautiful mural. A friend of ours that works with Space Center Houston and NASA does a lot of interesting graphics and patches for them. Did this beautiful mural of the city from basically a clear lake, and there's a kind of nod to the space program, the shuttle flying over all the way up to the Galleria area. Yeah, Astro World, and you can see the Texas Cyclone, and then actually over one of the little Easter eggs in the corner over there is actually a smaller relief of the side of this building, because my grandfather was in the convenience store business a long time ago, and so we kind of wanted to do an homage because we're actually sitting in one of the old locations.
And shout out to the U-Totems there. I have to say, I remember U-Totems when I was growing up. Yes.
Well, and I remember the establishment that preceded you here.
Oh, yes.
Which was one of Houston's legendary dive bars, basically. So
Yeah, the Rollin'.
the Rollin', yeah.
They had that
they were air
sign.
conditioned.
This air conditioning, and they had a sign that said large screen TV.
Yeah, which I remember, I believe was a 19-inch.
At the time, it was large.
It did become a rear projection. When I was here, it was a nice size rear projection. I don't know how large, but if you remember those rolling around.
Oh, I had one of those rolling ones. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Well, now of course you've got the prerequisite flat screen, high
absolutely.
definition
Too
TV,
hard
so.
to hang the rear projection on the wall. You know, we
I
tried.
sure hope a train comes by while we're doing.
Oh well, that's one of the things that's almost bound to happen, right?
Oh yeah. Well, that's actually one of the best parts. You know, the name being Railyard, people wonder why. So we are on a fairly busy Union Pacific line. So you'll see Amtrak come by here. Actually, one of the first weeks we opened, I was here bringing in new TVs, and I felt like it was a really good sign. The Ringling Brothers Circus train was coming through. Not in town, but I guess just transiting through, and that was a
Was that
a
one
cool
of the times
train.
that I jumped off?
Might have been.
Okay.
And here we are now.
And here we are now.
Were you wearing that little outfit?
I think I was, yes. You got me. You got me. So, Ian, we'll get to the tobacco because I'm going to be curious about your impressions of it in a few moments. But with the moments that we have left in this segment, I wanted to get to the mystery beverage. This is one that you brought. Is there anything before we taste that you want to tell us about the mystery beverage?
Okay, this is not Malort.
Okay. then pass the first test.
He just has to say that now.
I really am trying to bring mystery beverages that I think are fun. Apparently, every time I bring a mystery beverage, no one likes it.
Well, I sure do like this one on the nose. It's very, very pleasant on the nose.
What are you getting on this? What are you thinking?
Sort of that darker, smoky, malty sort of roasted flavors on the nose.
Go ahead, give it a try. What are you thinking over there, Trey?
It has a really nice mouthfeel. I mean, it's obviously dark, but it's coming to me like a porter, right? Is that what we're...
I agree totally. It seems like a porter.
It is a porter.
Okay.
I was going to say porter.
So, Ian, then, not that I'm not enjoying it, but what is mysterious about this porter?
Well, I just thought you might find some other stuff in there,
Right.
but no one's mentioned it yet.
Well, okay. I feel like there's a little cocoa.
There's chocolate. Yeah, some
Yeah.
cocoa.
Is that we on the right
There's
path here?
I brought a...
Oh, Hershey's chocolate.
Now, you do realize that I brought this as a mystery beverage before.
Did you?
Yes.
Oh, the
Really
mystery
resonated.
beverage, so nice they
Really
did it twice.
resonated.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, but this is actually a wonderful beer. Maybe I brought it. It wasn't a mystery beverage. Maybe it was just something we tasted. But yeah, we actually have tasted.
I mean, I brought a mystery
phone
beverage
before.
at one point in time that you wouldn't even attempt to try, and then you
That's
brought
correct.
the same one and tried it.
So we've had Yingling a lot in Florida, and I like it okay, but I actually like this more than just their base Yingling.
Yeah, I agree. This is actually quite delicious.
So a funny thing about Yingling is their porter is fantastic, and this
Yes.
happens to be their chocolate.
Not what they're known for, but it's
Right.
it's fantastic. Well, I dig it and would drink that on any occasion, but it's almost like a hot chocolate. So, except it's cold. All right, we got to take a break, and we will be back. We want to talk about this tobacco. We want to get into the pipes a little bit here, and Ian can give us a little pipe smoking 101 so that we can get Trey up and running here. It's Smoking and Toasting, and we'll be right back. Welcome back at Smoking and Toasting. We are on location at the Railyard in Houston, Texas, where in just moments Ian's going to walk through a little pipe smoking 101 basic and kind of get Trey up and running here. But first, you put some interesting smelling tobacco, that Christmas blend,
this is the
in your pipe.
Peterson Christmas blend, and it's from about 10 or 12 years ago. And you can store them in these jars as long as you seal them pretty well and have the right humidity in there, which is kind of nice. I have a little humidity element that's in there. If you're watching a video, you can see that used to be stuck to the top of this, but obviously was too humid for that. This right here is it's an interesting blend because it's got like some fruity. It's got some flavor.
It's definitely some
flavorful notes, fruitiness, like
almost like some
like a
red
fruit
fruit
cake.
Yeah, right. It's fruit
kind
cake,
of thing
exactly.
going on. And they do this. They take the tobacco a lot of times. This is like a burley blend, and they take those tobaccos and they'll spray them with some flavors. They'll infuse them with some flavors to give you that really nice room note and stuff like that.
What does a burley blend mean?
Well, burley is a type of tobacco, and burley is on its own not very flavorful, but it's kind of like a sponge. It'll take whatever flavor you add to it. And so
it's the tofu of pipe tobacco.
A little bit, right. So you'll see these blends that when you see something that's a burley blend, it usually means it's going to have some sort of specific flavors. Like this one has those nice fruity flavors to it. This one, this accountant has definitely some vanilla and honey kind of things going on.
Accountant is one of my more favoritist pipe tobaccos.
Yeah, I mean, it smells really nice. That one,
That's what I
that
came
one
with
sits next to
today.
my chair in the house, and I always smell it. I love the way it smells.
Wow.
It's just, you can smell it everywhere. It's a lot of fun. So,
like in our opening song from our new alternative smoking and toasting opening, where it says whiskey and cigars, the gentleman's cologne. I think that the pipe tobacco would be the gentleman's potpourri.
yeah, there you go.
Don't you think? You got it sitting next to your chair.
100% on
it's
that.
working. Yeah.
Makes me feel like a longshoreman.
So if you reach in here and you take a little pinch of tobacco out, just like so much here, and just drop it into the bowl of your pipe like so.
I like your stand over there, by the way, Cruz. That's a nice little pipe stand.
Thank you. And Ian has a very cool one as well. Ian's more like a beanbag.
That's the little pillow.
That's awesome.
That's
yeah, I
the little
didn't see
pillow.
yours there. It's like a folding one, like a
Yeah.
That's the on-the-go one.
yeah,
Because-
a beach lounger for your pipe.
Because my pipe does not stand like Pat's does, so I have
Pat's
to.
got
yeah,
a special
this is
pipe.
cool too.
His doesn't need a stand.
So all I'm doing with this is I took that pinch of tobacco. Now this particular pipe has kind of a small bowl, and I just drop it in there kind of loose, and then I'm tamping it down just gently with my finger.
With your finger first, right?
Yeah, I'm not gonna mash it in there. You want a little bit of air to be in there. It's not gonna burn properly if you pack it too tight.
This accountant, you want?
Yeah, you want to try? There's lots of stuff to smell here. So if you find one, let's see. This is very leathery.
And that one is what? Called what?
That's called Maltese Falcon by GLP.
Oh,
Love
Maltese
that
Falcon.
name. Great name. I want to try it just
That
because
one
of the
has
name.
that
Oh, yeah.
old bookstore kind of smell.
Yeah, I love that. That's
You get the-
part of what pipe smoking is supposed
Yeah,
to be,
man.
right?
Where was the burley one?
The burley mix? Well, that one's going to have some burley. This is going to have some burley. This is
this
the
is gonna
Christmas one that you just tried a minute ago,
good.
I think.
Okay.
I just feel like you look like a roadside jam store here with your tobacco in these mason jars.
And we are kind of like the old ladies that are talking about the jam. Oh, I've got boysenberry.
Welcome to Ian's Apothecary here.
Yeah, absolutely.
It'll cure what ails you.
So we got about a minute left in this segment. Do you need
So-
more time to go through this?
No, I was just going to say, I just touch it up with my finger, and then I'm going to light it with my pipe lighter. This is specifically, you can use any soft flame, but this is specifically a pipe lighter made by Zippo, as you can see on the video here. It has a standard Zippo insert, but it has a circle cut out so that you can lay it on its side
Lay it
on top of the pipe.
Just-
and
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and you draw that flame right down into it to light your pipe.
Oh.
So these are a couple handy things, and then we also have this right here, which is the tamp / poke / scoop. This is an old school Swiss tool, and I use the tamp and the poke quite a bit, and that's to help tamp it down once it's hot because that'll help keep it lit.
All right, so we got to take a break. We'll be right back and continue that. Plus, we're going to get into some beer tasting as promised.
I like beer.
With Triskel which is kind of like a Trisket, but better. We'll be back with that coming up. It is Smoking and Toasting, and welcome to Pipe Show 2022. Welcome back. It's Smoking and Toasting. Our show is all about craft beer, fine spirits, hand-rolled cigars, and today it's about pipes as well.
And
as
pipes.
Ian pours this next beer, I will tell you about something that I just was thrilled to discover this week, and that is that the 2-year-old New Zealand legislation that was aimed at completely eliminating the sale of any and all tobacco products to anyone born after January 2009. Now that a new coalition government headed by the National Party has taken over, it looks as if that bill will be repealed. It was one of the first major generational all-out smoking bans, which meant anybody born after a certain date would, for the rest of their life, never be able to purchase any tobacco.
Pretty
Wow.
Yeah.
Can you imagine
currently-
being the older one that was just sitting there rubbing it in their
Right.
face the whole time?
Well, currently in New Zealand, anyone 18 years of age or older is legally permitted to purchase tobacco. But under that legislation, which was set to begin in 2025, not only would the minimum age increase to 19, but then the next year it would be 20, and the year after it would be 21, and the year after it would be 22, and so on, so that if you were not already grandfathered in, it didn't matter how old you got, you would never be allowed to purchase tobacco. Imagine the tobacco black market that would have created had it gone through. But it looks like it'll be repealed.
I mean, what?
Looks like it'll be repealed. So,
How would that work if you came into New Zealand? I wonder.
well, I don't know. I don't know if they would, confiscate things like they do with Cuban cigars at the U.S. border or not. I don't know if that's a part of the deal. But what it was really about is your right to legally purchase them.
Wow.
But again, this is going away. It's going to be repealed. So that's the good news. And we don't get a lot of good news on the tobacco,
On the tobacco
legal
law
front.
thing, yeah.
So we'll celebrate what we get. Ian, do we want to try this beer first, or do you want to finish your cigar lighting? Pipe lighting 101.
Pipe lighting 101? Let's do the pipe lighting real quick.
All right.
We talk about the
I
beer.
knew you were going to make me wait for this beer.
Have it your way. Take a sip.
All right, fair
Try
enough.
it out.
Fair enough.
We'll get Trey all primed and ready for his
There you go.
The name of this beer again?
Wonderful.
This is called Triskel.
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 So I get a nice citrus.
Oak
Yeah.
fermented country style lager.
Right, and it is from our friends at OEC Brewing Company in Oxford, Connecticut.
Triskel is a pale lager brewed using a traditional German double decoction.
Yeah,
However you say that.
I think it's
Mash. Brewed using Czech Pilsner malt hopped with German Tettnang. Triskel's fermentation starts in open tanks for 1 week and finishes 3 weeks later in oak. After lagering, it is dry hopped using French Triskel hops.
now. I will say that I really, really like this.
It's really
but
good.
I'm wondering, like Pat, my friend, is not a fan of IPAs. Is this too close to an IPA for you, or do you like
Oh,
I
this
don't-
is wonderful. It doesn't taste harsh. It's not hard. It's
this?
not,
It doesn't have
it's
any
not
real
heavy.
bitter to it.
No.
There's a crispy finish to it that's a little abrupt and in the best possible way.
Right.
It's the good way.
And it
though.
comes
Yeah.
off a little like a hazy IPA in terms of the actual
makes your mouth
citrusy
water.
flavor,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Right? Like it leaves your mouth watering like that old gator gum that you used to get at the
Yes,
counter right
yes.
there by
It feels really complicated because I feel like I got a citrus nose and then I got a taste on the front and then as it finishes
It's
and
more of
middle
like
finish.
a Kolsch type
There's
Yes.
also
Yes.
there's also a little bit of almost a saison style funk to it, like in the middle of it.
But it's
in
very
a real good
it's
way.
very mild though.
It's very light, and it's just something so different that I wouldn't expect in a beer that has the rest of the profile like this.
Right. This is
It's really good.
And I had never come across this brewery before. This is the first time I've ever seen a beer from the OEC Brewing Company. So
Ordinum, eccentrici, coctores.
so that's what OEC is, I guess, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I did not pay attention in Latin class. I was too busy trying to learn Spanish because there was this Hispanic girl I had a real crush on. So I
It
was,
just means darn good beer. This is good. This is an outstanding brew.
yeah. That actually it is
They-
quite
they-
delicious.
They made me take Latin twice. I just
Was it any better the second time?
a little bit.
Yeah,
I
okay.
got to sit next to the right girl.
Oh, see, this is what. See, if they would have understood what actually motivates,
Right.
High school
kids.
boys.
yeah, they could have gotten us to learn languages a lot better.
A lot,
Yeah,
man.
yeah. I was trying to learn about amor and corazon and things like that. I knew what I wanted to know.
The language of
Yeah,
passion.
the language of love.
Yeah, it's hard to use Latin in a very, I guess, intriguing way to.
Yeah, it's Latin is an interesting language. It's not a sexy language.
Yes, yes.
It is, however, sexier than
That's one of the-
Cantonese.
That's one of those things.
That is not a sexy language. It's a crazy interesting language.
We need
But
a
sexy. No.
Oh yeah.
We need a T-shirt that says "Things that Cruz says." Latin is an interesting language, but it's not a sexy one.
Yeah.
Now, if you're an altar boy,
I was gonna
all
say-
this stuff is thrown out.
That's right. I was going to say
lot
it's a churchy,
me
it's
tell
a
you,
churchy language.
A lot of stuff is thrown out if you're an altar boy. I'll just put it that way. But anyway, Ian, you were going through the steps of how to correctly pack and light a pipe. Do you want to
I'm
continue
gonna
with
walk
that?
straight through it. I grabbed a second pipe that I'm going to go ahead and load up.
Because you have how many pipes?
He's just
How ma-
got them coming out of his pocket.
How many pipes do you
I
have?
brought 4 here today.
But how
wow.
many do you own?
A lot.
More than a carton of eggs?
Yes.
Well, he was kind enough to let me use this one too.
No. I'm not letting you use that. That is your pipe.
Oh
sir.
well, thank
Oh,
you.
well.
Wow, even nicer.
Ian
Thank
has
you.
donated that to the cause. That's
That is
wonderful.
your pipe, sir.
So show him how to load it up and
right.
smoke it.
So, grab a pinch of tobacco out of there.
All right. I got some Maltese Falcon here.
That's what I'm just putting in my pipe
We're going to basically just drop a bit in there. Yeah, you don't have to fill it up a lot. As a matter of fact, it's a good thing when you're first starting to just do kind of a half fill,
Right.
And that's fine to start. And then what I want you to do is I want you to put your finger in there, and I want you to press it around the edges so you're kind of making it dome up in the middle.
Oh.
Okay?
Don't
helps
press
it light,
the
right?
middle.
Yeah,
press
just-
the edges.
So you're pressing around the edges with your fingernail,
Yeah.
right? And that's gonna leave the pipe tobacco slightly domed in the middle, ish. That's the theory. Okay, now I have big fingers, and this pipe fortunately has a large bowl. That's real difficult to do in this pipe, which doesn't have a large bowl.
Mm-hmm.
Once you have that done, you're
Think I have enough in here, or
yeah, it looks good. Maybe actually go a little bit more because of the way that pipe, you can still see the stem coming.
yeah, I
out.
noticed that. That was
Go ahead and cover that.
So, Ian, did your old man smoke a pipe?
Yes.
I know he drank rum. You
Yes.
said he drank really cheap rum.
Well, he liked all rum. He didn't just like cheap rum.
He liked any
all
rum, including-
But he did drink. Like if it had a ship on the bottle, he was probably going to drink it.
Ship on the bottle.
But he was a pipe smoker, right? So I assume this is probably where you learned.
He was a pipe smoker.
This is where you learned about
sort of.
pipes, right?
My dad had his own style of pipe smoking. He loved his Falcon pipes where you could just take the entire bowl off and shake out the pipe and everything, and he would stick it in his belt. And because the stem was all made of metal, it would last. He just had it in his belt like that all the time.
It's a good carrying pipe.
He was not what you'd call an artist when it came to smoking. I mean, he was a guy that just, however it went in there, it was fine. He'd light it and went on about it. And he always smoked a very particular tobacco. Like whenever I smell that these days, I don't even know if they make it. It was a Continental Club, Kentucky blend, Kentucky Club Continental blend. That's what it was. And it's very distinctive. But everyone around him loved the way this thing smelled.
Now, I noticed you're using your pipe lighter.
Right, I'm going to hand it off to him.
Okay,
just a
so you can
moment.
let him use that. But you can also use a match or,
Yes.
or a more
Any
ordinary
soft light,
Bic lighter,
Pat
right?
just has a regular Bic in his hand. It works just fine. Just don't burn your finger. Remember which way the flame's going. Flames want to go up, and you're running it sideways.
But this is not a place to use my
this-
quad torch that I use for
Do not use a
cigars.
torch. You will destroy your pipe pretty quickly.
Oh,
So-
that's good to know.
So what I want you to do is I want you to take the lighter and light it, and then you're just going to lay it on the side across the top of the bowl. And then just start taking some puffs as you kind of move it around on the inside of the bowl.
Okay.
And you'll find that you'll start to get a little smoke, then you'll start to get a little more smoke. And when you get a nice big smoke, then I want you to set the lighter down. And I want you to take your tamp, and while you're puffing a little bit more, I want you to tamp it gently while you puff it.
Okay.
Okay? Just gently.
Okay.
You're just pushing it down a little bit. These steps right here, it goes by way faster than it takes the time to tell you, you know? It goes by much, much faster than you think.
What does the tamping do? Just keep it down?
The tamping
going?
will compress the top layer that you've lit, and it'll ignite some more of the tobacco
bottom.
underneath it a little
I
bit.
did not. I've never done that before.
You're not tamping properly?
Tamping it while it's
Tamping it while
lit.
you puff
Well,
just a little
this
bit.
might be one of the reasons why I have trouble staying lit, because that's not something that I do. So I'm going to start doing that
Needs
now.
to be more tamping going on.
Yeah. And then give it a little
tamping now.
tamp and then relight it one more time. And generally speaking, your pipe should stay lit pretty well after you do that. You're going to light it twice when you light it once, so to speak.
Is that where the city of Tampa got its name?
Tampa?
Yeah.
I think so.
Oh, see, you went nice with that.
It is a big. It's a big tobacco city, but I think it's more cigars.
And then just do a gentle relight and give yourself some big, deep puffs through it. Just make sure you don't inhale.
I love the city of Tampa for two reasons. One, because of its cigar heritage.
Yes.
And two, because Tom Brady played for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers for a couple of seasons.
There you go. Now you see how the smoke's a lot fuller now? So just
Yeah.
puff. Yeah, there you go. Just puff and let it out.
And tamp.
And then you can set it down for a second.
Okay.
And you should be getting some flavors out of that.
Was that a Frank Zappa song? I'm a
We may have
tamping
to do
fool.
this a few times. So the question is though, how does that taste to you already? What are you feeling on that?
I was starting to get a little bit of it, but I hadn't fully got into it yet, and I think the flame went out. So
Yeah, let's just relight it a couple times.
Yeah, there's no shame to relighting your pipe, right?
Yeah, relighting a pipe is just part of the game.
With a cigar, you don't want to relight a whole bunch of times because
No.
you wind up getting harsh.
You can get a bad relight penalty on a cigar, but with pipes in general, the tobacco just stands up to it really well. You can relight it many times.
Is a pipe that you've used a lot generally better in the same way that a cast iron skillet can be better if it's been used?
Pipes will season. And once your pipe is more seasoned, it's going to stay lit better. It's going to taste better overall. So, did you?
I got it. I did get. Well, you know what? I need to
get some
tamp.
flavor
Yeah,
there,
I did get some flavor.
So-
Yes.
Let me borrow this. Watch me on this. Big draws.
Oh, he's keeping the flame
going.
on there longer.
That smells great, by the way.
He's going like a freight
And one of the
train.
great things about pipes, and this is probably more of a pipe thing than it is a cigar thing.
Notice there's a little less smoke coming out, but this time,
Go do that in front of the train mural over there, so
Right.
it'll make the smoke real.
notice how the smoke gets real.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I was just going to say,
wow.
one of the things about pipes is that you are more likely to have people around you, if you're smoking a pipe, comment that they like the smoke than with
Yeah,
cigars. Although it
you're
does
right.
happen
Now,
with cigars. But
Keep in mind,
But
too,
you're right.
that this is basically a little stove now. So if you find that it's going out a little bit, you can put 2 fingers across the top and carb it a little bit.
Oh, there you go.
Like a choke.
Yeah.
Works.
And draw through it, and you'll get.
now that's
There you go.
brilliant.
So now your smoke's getting nice and big, right?
Oh, I've
Big
never
smoke.
tried that before.
Try not to set the room on fire with your cigar, with your pipe lighter. That's one of the other rules of smoking. But so, Ian, there are obviously here in Houston several of the tobacconist shops that do a nice job of stocking pipe tobacco. You can also find it online. I get a pipe catalog in the mail every once in a while that
yeah.
has about 42 gazillion pipe tobacco styles. In one of our next segments, maybe you can break down for us, like, what are the basic styles of pipe tobacco and what's interesting or different about each one. I don't know if we have time to go into it in this segment, but
we can talk about how close are we on this segment.
we got 2.
Not with 2 minutes.
Yeah, yeah, that's it. I'm always watching the clock. So that's something we'll look forward to talking about. And so I've been tasting the Maltese Falcon. What should I taste next? And what is it like?
Oh, and how did you like that, by the way?
I like
very
it a lot.
leathery, very.
It's very, like you said, leather-bound books.
This is an English-style tobacco.
A bookstore. English-style tobacco. And I know we're going to talk about this in the next segment, but English-style means essentially what?
Well, English-style is usually Virginia tobacco with some Perique a lot of times in it, and I'll have to look it up during the thing. But
thank you for being our resident pipe tobacco expert, by the way.
But that's that blend is always going to have that leathery kind of the more like the savorier side of
sure, and that's probably what I like.
Yeah,
because that harkens to what I like more in cigars as well. So, all right. So I tell you what, we will wrap up here and take a break. Still to come on the program, we're going to tell you about some cigars to watch for because there's some interesting things coming out between now and the end of the year. We had some good cigar legal news. We have some bad cigar legal news. So we'll pass that along for you as well. And we're going to try one of the whiskeys from the bar here in one of the upcoming segments. And I think you guys have been conferring between segments about what that might be. So I'm excited to see. Plus more beers on the way. Evil Twin Brewing's IPA with the long name. The Bruery's Sweet Magnolia Imperial Stout. And more. We are doing the Pipe Show 2023. And we're on location at the Railyard, one of the coolest places to sit outside and smoke pipes in Houston.
Agreed.
And do a lot of other things, too. And we'll be doing more of that coming up. It's Smoking and Toasting, and we'll be right back.
In the beginning, so the story goes.
Welcome back. It's Smoking and Toasting. Were you chewing me?
I was just going to say the room note on that thing is so good.
All right, so you gave me this tobacco a little bit ago. This is from this one. Tell me about it, Ian.
Oh, so this is Chelsea Morning. This is
Oh, I like it.
Yeah, this has got Latakia or Latakia, depending on where you put the emphasis,
the emphasis on which syllable. Yeah.
And it's got some Oriental style tobaccos in there.
It's got a really nice room note, and it's really nice on the like tingly on the tongue too, which I like.
Yeah, and then also, like some of these tobaccos are cut differently as well. You'll notice some of them have bigger pieces. Some of them are cut ribbon style. Mm-hmm. Some of them are
I have noticed that
shredded. They have different consistencies, and that changes the way some of them burn as well. There's tons of.
Well, I'm really interested to see how this one pairs up with this next beer. This is from Evil Twin Brewing Company. They are a brewery out of New York City. Thank you. That sounds great.
Yeah.
They're a brewery out of New York City that is known for two things. One, making really excellent beer. And number two, for having some of the most interesting and certainly the longest names of any beers out there. Some people just call their beer like Pabst.
The weather just went from 90 to 55 like it saw a state trooper.
That's the name of this IPA. So we're going to be tasting this. They do a lot of hazies, so we'll see how everybody likes this. But I'm of course the big hazy IPA fan, so I'm looking forward to it, regardless of what you guys think about it. Yeah, I'm just saying, this is right up my alley, at least based on what it looks like, and I'm gonna guess. Oh, yes.
It smells good.
What it smells like. Well, it smells very citrusy, as most hazy and juicy IPAs are prone to do. But some of them use rather unusual and interesting hops. And they may add a little funk or a little dankness to the whole thing. I'm not picking up a lot of that on the nose here. We'll see once we get to tasting it. But I don't think I've asked you, Trey, what style of beer are you the most interested in, generally speaking?
I like light lagers, but I also really enjoy some of the Hefeweizen, some of those German styles.
Right.
A lot of Weinstefaners product. Everything they make is amazingly balanced, and their Hefeweizen, obviously, but the Vita, some of their darker ones are great. But some wit beers, I like the Belgian style wit.
Nice. So yeah, you're really into the more sort of traditional European styles.
I think so, because I also really love. We went to a Formula One race years ago in Montreal, and I got to try a lot of Unibrew's products, and they make Le Fin de Monde, Blanche de Chambly, Maudit. They have some really nice styles too.
Well, this beer is absolutely nothing like that.
Yes.
It is a really juicy, though, hazy IPA, and I have to say, on first taste, I love it.
It's good. This is coming in at 6.5% by volume. using double dry hopped with Citra and Galaxy. It says keep refrigerated, drink fresh. It doesn't have a whole lot of other information on there, but it is really nice.
It's not super complicated. It's fairly straightforward with citrusy, juicy notes, but it is just so wonderful on the palate. It's really easy to drink.
It's really interesting
for a bigger IPA.
How on the middle of the palate there's a malty sweetness that happens and then kind of washes away.
Yeah.
It's very well balanced. Like you get this IPA fresh floral thing right up front, and then it goes into a fruity thing after the middle round sweetness goes away. It's really, really nice. Well done. Not lingering. Not.
And I think that may be one of the reasons I like it, because I love both of those IPA styles, the floral and then the juicy citrusy. And this kind of manages to get both of them into one beverage, and without leaving a weird resiny.
It's a little more floral on the nose.
I get that.
Yes, for sure.
It's almost more floral than it is citrusy, and then you swallow, and you take a sip and you swallow, and you get all that juice. Makes it really interesting.
I likes me the juice.
Well, and I will say, from not liking IPAs, as I mentioned previously, you guys have done a really good job of getting me on the gateway to IPA. That one we tried a couple weeks ago, I actually liked. Didn't have that bitterness that I associate with a lot of that hoppy.
Right.
This one was great, and even that pale ale, which I guess is not necessarily the same thing, but kind of walking towards
But it's in that general family.
I've enjoyed all of them. I would drink them floating down the river with you, as you like to say, right?
There you go.
Have you ever smoked a pipe floating down the river?
Never a pipe floating on the river, but I'm loving looking over at Terry with the pipe in his hand and the beer in his
He's got
hand.
a pipe and a
He
mic
looks
and a
so
beer.
happy.
Yeah.
This is a wonderful. I do like this beer. This is great, and it pairs well with this pipe.
Yeah, really.
This is
Multitasking at its
Which
finest.
tobacco is Terry's?
accountant.
Okay, the
Accountant.
accountant's a wonderful tobacco.
I love it though. You've got all the fingers going, and
The accountant was one of my first favorites when I started smoking tobacco.
The accountant is one of my absolute go-tos. It smells so good. The room note is fantastic, and then on top of that, it goes with almost anything.
It's great to start with.
It would be hard,
really
I think, to
is.
find something that doesn't go with it.
So I just wanted to mention, we still have drinking news coming up on the program, but that's not all you have to look forward to. Ladies and gentlemen, we have breaking Nicolas Cage news that we will get to on the program, because if Nicolas Cage is in the news, we're going to cover it. That's just
We're going to drink.
That's just an unspoken promise here at Smoking and Toasting. So we'll be back with all of those things and more pipe tobacco. The Pipe Show continues, and we're on location at the Railyard, and this is Smoking and Toasting. Welcome back, my friends. It's Smoking and Toasting. Our program's all about craft beer, fine spirits, and hand-rolled cigars. We are on location at the Railyard, which is one of my more favorite Houston establishments for drinking and
This place is very
smoking on
cool.
their patio as well. So we're smoking pipes today. Ian has been schooling us a little bit on pipe culture and how to do it, and that's always important. We always kind of review that in the pipe shows, because I think pipes are just not nearly as common as cigars. So
No.
people may be interested but not know how to do it. So it's nice to be able to.
There's a little more care, and technique and stuff that goes into the smoking of a pipe. Like just figuring out how you want to pack it and how you want to light it. There's some generalizations.
Yes.
But it takes a little bit of doing to make it always, make it always happen for you.
Well-
And when you're brand new at this, it's one of those things that if you're not willing to go through that process, then maybe a cigar is easier. You just light it and go, right? Mm-hmm. The nice thing, though, about a pipe is once you get the hang of it, if you want to smoke for 10 minutes, you could put a small, less than half a bowl in there and smoke it and enjoy it. If you want to smoke for an hour, fill up your bowl, and relight it whenever it goes out. It's fine.
Absolutely.
It's real nice like that.
Well, we're going to be pairing pipes and pipe tobacco and some whiskey today, because one of the outstanding things about the Railyard is they have a very impressive selection of whiskeys in their arsenal, shall we say?
Yes.
Yeah, inside
arsenal.
inside of the bar. Is whiskey a personal passion for you?
I think it has become over time. I actually started my journey more with rums and that sort of thing.
Yeah,
but
I
I got
love a
into,
good rum.
I feel like I got into Irish whiskeys and then just the basic Canadian Crown. I like the sweeter profile. But then my girlfriend, now wife, really liked bourbons and kind of took me down that path. So I think the weeded bourbon profile is my
wife
favorite.
is a whiskey girl too. Straight.
She
whiskey
likes bourbon,
drinking
your wife
girl.
does,
Yeah.
yes.
Bourbons.
It's a fairly large segment. I think a lot of people don't think about it, but there's a lot of
My
women
wife
that
loves rye.
Yeah. And as I recall, Beth on Yellowstone is a big fan of the whiskey too.
Yes.
So anytime Beth on Yellowstone is throwing
Beth
it down.
likes it. I'm in.
That's right. Exactly. That's what I'm talking about. So we're going to try some whiskey here. I don't know which one you're going to try first, but Ian, if you guys want to go ahead and get that ready, you can be doing that while I bring you. And this has gone from being just something that occasionally happens on the show to now, ladies and gentlemen, an official segment. Not only do we have drinking news, but from time to time, we will update you on the myth, the man, and the legend, Nicolas Cage.
Nicolas Cage on the news. Nicolas Cage, what you gonna do?
I like it. That's our Nicolas Cage segment song.
The amount of time I spent writing the lyrics on that.
Yeah,
These things take a while.
I understand. And
You were up all night.
I appreciate your artistry.
I had to
He
get
told
my
him 5
zone.
minutes before the show.
The thing about Nicolas Cage is that he doesn't always make sense, but he's always interesting. And we can put today's Nicolas Cage news into that exact category. Apparently, Nicolas Cage is not only an actor, but he may be some sort of a scientist as well, because he has determined that he has, and I'm not making this up, just like in Drinking News, we're not making it up. He has determined that he has memories in his brain from more than 59 years ago.
Oh,
And for a 59-year-old, that is quite a feat.
that's a heck of a thing, yeah.
He was on the Late Show with Stephen Colbert and answered a question about his earliest memory. And by the way, anytime that you see Nicolas Cage is going to be a guest on any talk show, even if it's not one you like, watch it.
Oh, yeah.
It's worth it.
There's
It's worth
entertainment
it.
happening.
Yes. He was on the Stephen Colbert Show, the Late Show, was asked about his earliest memory, and he said, and I'm quoting here, "Let me think. Listen, I know this sounds really far out,
He doesn't need to say that.
and I don't know if it's real or not,
Also doesn't need to say that.
but sometimes I think I can go all the way back to in utero and feeling like I could see faces in the dark or something."
In vitro. Nice.
things
I know
were
it's-
dark.
I know it sounds powerfully abstract, Nicolas Cage said, but that somehow seems like it maybe happened. Now that I am no longer in utero, which is exactly something that Nicolas Cage would say. Now that I am no longer in utero, I would have to imagine it was perhaps vocal vibrations resonating through to me at that stage. That's going way back. I don't know. That comes to mind. I don't even know if I remember being in utero, but that thought has crossed my mind, end quote. Thoughts?
Yeah, I have thoughts.
I mean, that.
Charlie Murphy. This is some Charlie Murphy going ways there.
Yeah.
Come on now.
Ian, song, please.
By the way, to give you a little science, testing of fetuses in the womb does show the ability for the tiny baby to start having memory recall around week 30 of gestation, even if the recall only lasts for hours. Nicolas Cage has somehow been able to remember it for 59 years and
I like
X
the way,
number of
too,
days.
he says he's no longer in now that he's no longer in
Yeah.
59 years later, now that I'm
Now
no
that I'm
longer
no
in
longer
utero.
in
That
utero.
seems like something you could say
But
like an
that's-
hour after.
that's
but
such a
Listen,
Nicolas Cage.
this sounds like a really weird conversation.
Stewie from
about
Guy.
Nicolas Cage.
Except for the fact that you just said from Nicolas Cage.
Right, exactly.
Why, that guy's so strange.
59 years and some change.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, none of the science explains a 59-year-old such as Cage remembering vocal vibrations and dark faces from being in his mom's womb. But it is a cool story.
He could remember Beach Boys records.
That's absolutely right.
That's impossible.
Yeah, and no one should. So let's Pet Sounds, fine. Anything before that, forget it.
Not anymore.
Not.
What about the stuff they did for Cocktail in the 80s?
You can forget that too. Well, Kokomo. Kokomo makes me want to go to the
Kokomo's
islands.
nice,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's pretty cool. All right.
I don't even know what to say anymore.
That was your Nicolas Cage update. There will be more, perhaps not every week, but knowing Nicolas, this won't be the last thing he says.
It's not the
that
last time we'll hear
deserves
from him.
some coverage. Yes. So, cheers to Mr. Cage. Ian, and I don't know why Nicolas Cage became a thing for the show, but over time, he just has.
He just keeps coming up in conversation.
Yeah. All right. So what are we sampling here? And this is from the bar here at the Railyard, correct?
So this is the Old Forester Bottled and Bond. This is the 1897. Is that what it is?
Yes, it's 1897. So
97.
Old Forester, I didn't know this until we actually went to Old Forester, and they built this beautiful distillery in downtown Louisville on what they call Old Whiskey Row.
Mm-hmm.
They actually were one of the few, I guess you would say, distilleries that made it through Prohibition with the medicinal license. So they were a really old, and in fact, actually, I was just
We're
reading
making medicine.
in
Daddy
18
needs some medicine.
So back in the wild days of whiskey in the late 1800s, when everyone was doing it, Old Forester was out there doing it. But there's some great promotional materials at their distillery that show these different whiskey for what ails you and that sort of thing, because only certain people got a license to continue making whiskey during Prohibition when the Volstead Act came in.
But they didn't have to shut down.
No, that you're right, exactly. So a lot of them did.
It
I think
definitely
Beam
works well on
actually
a
did.
sore throat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Works pretty well on a cough, too.
So that was so it's interesting because several distilleries were able to apply for this medicinal license. Volstead Act comes in, and they can still make whiskey when no one else can. So then when the Repeal Act was coming in, they kind of had a jump on everybody else because they were already making whiskey, and a lot of other people couldn't. They had to get back into the game. So there's a couple, I don't know, there's several others I'm blanking on at the moment, but
And
Old
you
Forester's definitely one.
You can't make aged whiskey like on day one.
Right.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah.
I just like to point out, I love hanging out with people who say things like, I didn't realize until I went to Old Forester. That makes me feel like I'm hanging with cool people, Also reminds me, by the way, the story about them not having to close during Prohibition reminds me of a song I have on one of my playlists by an artist I love named Tim Shue. It's called Morrison, and the line in it that I love is where he says, "'Cause I feel like Morrison, like I need my medicine." And that's what this makes me think of. Because Daddy needs his medicine, and it's Old Forester, and I kind of feel like Morrison when I drink it,
And today, Mama needs her medicine. I've seen that more and more.
Yeah, well,
Well, this is so good. Like I'm such a fan of all the Old Forester expressions. They cannot disappoint. It seems like everything they make across their whole line.
Oh, that's very smooth.
Well, and so with this is considered the Whiskey Row series. I think there's an 1870, I want to say, an 1897, a 1910, and a 1920, and they celebrate different years within Old Forester and I think within the whiskey business. But with the Bald and Bond, I don't know if a lot of people know that. That's become, I feel like more
It's
of a popular
kind of a thing.
And apparently I was reading that they actually introduced it in 1870.
they were
I
the
think
first
that
bottled and bond?
apparently they introduced the
Well,
concept.
because the government has to regulate
Yes,
bottled and bond
yes.
for it to be legitimately bottled and bond.
Bonded warehouse, 100 proof, one distillation season, and one distiller from one distillery. So I think that the reason that came out was I think there were a lot of fly-by-nighters probably in the whiskey business in the late 1800s.
People refilling the bottle, so to speak.
Yes, so then if you had a government-bonded warehouse, I think people felt like quality control was a bigger issue. So I think this style obviously has to fall within those guidelines of the bottled and bond and celebrate that.
Interestingly enough, when I went to Angel's Envy a few years back,
I just like to point out, I love hanging out with people who say things like, interestingly enough, when I went to Angel's Envy,
which I will say, down the street, sort of, from Old Forester.
Pretty much, right?
Yeah.
One of the things the guy mentioned there, he's talking about the Bottle and Bond Act. He goes, man, listen. He goes, we make great whiskey, but here's the thing about the Bottle and Bond Act. If you're looking at the bottom shelf at your liquor store, and it says bottled and bond or bonded whiskey, it's probably pretty good. It doesn't, doesn't matter what the price is. And I'll be honest with you, bottled and bond Old Granddad, pretty damn good.
I was about to mention Old Granddad. That's a beautiful bean product.
It's fantastic. So, like, it's one of those things you start taking the snobbery out of it, you know? It doesn't have to be a $90 bottle. It doesn't have to be a $47 bottle.
Whiskey as medicine.
Also,
Whole different category.
it's for what ails you.
And it works, by the
And
way.
it should be, right?
I'm sad. Whiskey. I'm happy.
I twisted my knee. Whiskey.
Which reminds me of what our engineering producer Terry
Those are both cause
says
and
about
solution.
when he goes to pick up his kids after the show, and they're like that line from the Simpsons. Daddy smells like sadness. That's because he was taking his medicine.
Yes, I was taking my medicine before I had
There
to
you go.
Exactly. Well, I'll tell you, this is really it's really
good
a
medicine.
wonderful whiskey, and it definitely lets you know it's 100 proof. That's the other
Oh,
thing.
yes.
Is you could tell this wasn't 80
It's
proof
big.
from the very
It's big
first
and beautiful,
swallow.
though.
Yeah, but it's got just wonderful notes. I just pick up so many interesting things there, and then I go, "What was that?" I'm going to have to take another sip, just to
This
to
one,
continue
this
to,
one
to
is like
play that out.
cinnamon, and then on the retro hail, especially a little bit of bubble gum.
Yeah, a little bit of bubblegum, and there's actually a little bit of that thing that you get with some rums and some tequilas that are really good, where you get a little bit of that almost molasses vibe to it, where it's just kind of dark and sweet a little bit in the whole thing. Now I see that you're putting a drop of water into yours. What does that do to this particular whiskey?
I actually haven't had in a while, so I was going to see what it does. In general, I always like to try them neat just to get the full flavor, but
Sure.
then the water really kind of opens up usually the barrel and that sort of thing. So there was years ago, though, one particular whiskey, I don't know if it was a port finish or not, and they said don't ever add water to it because then it just goes all ethanol. And I for the darndest can't think of what it is now, and so every time I put water into whiskey, I'm like, I hope it wasn't this one.
And every time I fill up my car, I'll think of that now with this little sign that says ethanol.
That
All
was Everclear.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, putting water in Everclear doesn't help much.
No,
we're going to take a break. We'll be back with another expression of Old Forester and more about pipes and drinking news all on the way. It's Smoking and Toasting.
So nice.
Welcome back. It's Smoking and Toasting. I am really enjoying today's show, and it's great because my business partner, Pat, who also loves pipes, is here on the show with us today.
Hey, thanks for having me. This is great fun.
And he just remarked that now he understands why I don't like to set up Zoom calls after the show is recorded on the day we record the show.
Bad idea.
Because we're doing 100 proof whiskey here and have more beers
Now
to
I
come.
get it.
Yeah. So, but this is my most enjoyable day of the week. I would
Yeah,
say
the
is the day we do the
decision-making
show.
process gets a little awkward, but the conversation goes on and on.
Yeah, exactly. And speaking of going on and on, we have drinking news coming up. But before we do that, I want to get to this other. Now we have just had one expression of Old Forester, the 1897. Is that right?
Yes, 1897, bottled and bond.
Prohibition style, bottled and bond, and this is the 1920. So what does that just mean that this is newer? What does
the
it mean?
earlier one is the bottled and bond. This
Okay.
one is the prohibition.
This
Yes,
is
this is the
Prohibition
Prohibition
style.
style.
Gotcha.
So what Old Forester would like for you to know is that 1920 was the Volstead Act. We mentioned it, I believe, in the last segment.
Yes.
The act that created Prohibition. And that they were one of the 6 distillers in Kentucky that had the medicinal license and kept distilling throughout. So apparently this style they've had for... I believe pre-Prohibition. It's one of the very few whiskeys that has been made pre-Prohibition, Prohibition into now. It is bottled in at 115 proof because they said in the 20s everything had to be 100 proof, bottled and bond.
Right.
But kind of a shout out, I guess, to the Angel share, the 15 proof that they lost. So that is where the 115 comes in. 100 plus 15.
Just out of curiosity, when they kept their license for medical purposes, was it kind of like the states that have like medical marijuana where you can go and get Dr. Vinny Boombots to write you a prescription.
That's my
my toe hurts, doctor. I definitely need some medical marijuana or
Medical
some
whiskey.
Old Forester.
I believe that's my understanding. Yeah, you would go to a doctor and have some ailment of some kind, and the prescription would be, okay, we're going to prescribe certain milliliters or whatever of this.
I love certain
And then you go to,
milliliters.
I guess, an apothecary of some sort, and they would sell you that prescription.
Show 'em your
and that was a
paperwork.
control. Yeah, show them your
So
paperwork.
here's the deal, Doc. I know you prescribed that to me to last like 3 weeks, but
Yeah. To paraphrase the
it's
great
only one bottle.
That toenail has not grown back yet.
to paraphrase the great Christopher Walken, I got a fever, and the only prescription is Old Forester. So
You see in a lot of the ads though, where they're like, "Ask your doctor." I mean, kind of
Right.
like the older the now pharmaceutical ads about.
Ask your doctor if this
Yeah,
is right
ask your-
for if Old
Old
Forester is
Forester.
right for you. There you go.
Old Forester, a
You
brown
know,
form
there
of
might be
product.
a difference
Side
in
effects include
advertising
nausea, dizziness, loss of bowel control, and
well,
awkward
but
conversation.
I was just about to say,
And possible regret.
this may have some side effects, but they can't be nearly as bad as the ones I keep hearing about on those ads on TV.
Yes, no.
You don't want
Could
that.
cause sudden
Someone
death.
was like sudden death.
Yes,
Right.
sudden death. What?
I can't even imagine.
I mean,
If
that
you
side-
or anyone
that side
you
effect
know,
sucks.
Yeah, if you or anyone you know has died from this, wait, if you know you've died from
Well, I love when the side effects are what you were taking the drug for.
Oh yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And my other favorite thing is that they apparently legally have to say, don't take Old Forester if you're allergic to Old Forester.
that gets me every time.
I
That
don't
is the
understand.
worst.
It's like,
What?
why did we have to point that out?
We
if I'm
know that,
allergic
right?
to something, of course I shouldn't take it.
Yeah.
Oh, terrible.
Here's your medicine for nausea and dizziness. Possible side effects are nausea and dizziness.
Well,
Isn't
Daddy
that-
needs his medicine, and it's really good.
And
so this
sudden
is
death.
this is 115 proof. Is
It's
that right?
fabulous.
Yeah, it
it's
really is.
fabulous.
When we
It's
did a
really
tasting
fabulous.
of a lot of the styles at Old Forester, this seemed to be one of the fan favorites. Is the
I think
1920.
this is like out of all the ones that I think of, this is probably my favorite.
It is
And
really good.
This goes without saying, but this is available at the Railyard if you're in Houston.
Yes, we
And
have.
the 15%, that's the Angel's share, right?
Yes, so when you would have it in the rick house over time and over the resting period for the whiskey,
Right.
you would lose through evaporation and the
To the
heating and
angels.
cooling to the angels. Yes,
And so what remained might be a little higher proof because it was more concentrated. Is that the way that works?
It's less product for sure. I don't know if it affects the proof though.
Interesting.
Mine evaporated pretty quick.
Yeah, it absolutely did. And mine is, look, I can almost see it going. So we're going to take a break. Drinking news time is right around the corner, and we still have a what I think is going to be a wonderful stout from the boys at the Bruery in Placentia, California. It's called Sweet Magnolia, and I'll have Ian describe it to you when we come back. Very excited about this, and very excited, as always, about drinking news. It's Smoking and Toasting. We'll be right back.
If I can remember how that song went.
Welcome back. It is Smoking and Toasting. Our show is all about craft beer, fine spirits, hand-rolled cigars, and today, of course,
those things.
pipes. Now, I know that my pipe is not going to stay lit by the end of drinking news. It's just not going to happen. So I'm going to enjoy a couple of quick puffs while Ian brings us the drinking news theme song.
Drinking news, drinking news. Now it's time for drinking news. Drinking news, drinking news. Now it's time for drinking news. A Florida man with one arm said he had a gator for a pet. When asked about his absent arm, he said,
I have to take my gator to the vet.
drinking news, drinking news. Now it's time for drinking news.
Cheers, y'all. Well, our drinking news today is, again, a story that we've pulled from the headlines. This actually happened. It's not from The Onion or one of the, the parody sites. This is for real because we live in a day and age where it seems to be easier than ever, or at least more common than ever, to try and get out of sticky situations you brought upon yourself by simply denying that you had anything to do with it.
That's the Shaggy defense.
That's what I'm hearing in my head right now.
It wasn't me.
Shaggy's excellent song, It Wasn't Me.
It wasn't
Playing
me.
in my head. That's the one where his girlfriend repeatedly catches him in the act of cheating on her in multiple locations multiple positions.
It wasn't me.
And each time he simply says, wasn't me. From Donald Trump to Hunter Biden to Prince Andrew, who says, by the way, he didn't pal around with
It wasn't
Jeffrey
me.
Epstein and underage
not.
girls until, of course, the photo came out of him doing just that.
Oh, yeah. Maybe.
Certainly,
Wasn't
though,
me.
that couldn't be him.
It
in
was
the picture.
Percy.
Wasn't me.
Wasn't me.
And the subject of our drinking news story today has taken a similar position to try and defend himself from criminal charges. Your Honor, wasn't me.
Wasn't me.
This is the story of a Florida man. I'll delay for a moment.
Florida man.
A Florida man, 46-year-old Caleb Phillips, who was arrested recently on a warrant charging him with failure to appear in court in connection with a pending 2022 DUI case. As he was being booked and told to change into his orange jail jumpsuit at the Indian River County Jail, officers noticed something odd and were forced to investigate.
What's that in your pants?
As they investigated, corrections officials found a plastic cylinder containing methamphetamine under his penis. Now you think you have a crappy job.
Oh, sorry.
How you gonna sing that one?
I was, yeah, that's meth doesn't smoke itself.
And you think you have a crappy job. How would you like to be the corrections officer who has to lift up the man's penis to reveal the cylinder containing the drugs?
More coffee, Warden?
The Florida man naturally went with the obvious defense.
Is that a cylinder under your penis, or are you just happy to be here?
The Florida man went with the obvious defense of stating that he knew nothing about it. Or to put it another way,
Wasn't me.
wasn't me.
I was holding it for a friend.
Of course he did. Because Florida. Phillips, who's now known to the police as the drugs in his drawers inmate, told the cops that he, and I'm quoting here, did not hide the cylinder in his underwear. But he speculated that the meth was somehow placed there while he was asleep.
I hate it when that happens.
Phillips apparently did not identify the person who purportedly accessed his underwear for the meth delivery. But then Phillips made his case even worse by first disavowing any knowledge of the cylinder, but then claiming that he believed it to contain Advil pills. Cops noted that the meth was inside a small package of Advil inside the cylinder, which of course indicated that Phillips was, in fact, aware of what the clear container had held.
Not quite thinking straight.
His response?
It wasn't me.
Phillips was charged with narcotics
Wasn't me.
possession and smuggling contraband into a detention facility, both of which are felonies, by the way. He's being held without bond and is scheduled for arraignment on January 4th.
And he has Brandon for brains.
The Florida man's rap sheet includes prior convictions for DUI, resisting arrest, marijuana possession, fleeing or eluding, possession of drug paraphernalia, leaving the scene of an accident, disorderly intoxication, and driving without a license.
Hey, man, at least this guy's consistent.
Yeah. In fact, he is consistent because in each of those cases, Phillips claims that
It wasn't me.
clearly our Florida man is in a lot of trouble, not the least of which is that his new fellow inmate friends in jail may be inclined to search him for meth near his privates on a regular basis, and not just under his Johnson.
Hey, that's the guy. That's the guy that had
What's-
it under his penis.
What you hiding under there?
All of this, as you may have guessed by now, has inspired me to once again wax poetic, as sometimes my understanding of a particular thing or occurrence can be dramatically enhanced by setting it to verse. And so, with your permission, I'd like to share some poetry with you now, a poetry reading, if you will, to help us all make better sense of this Drinking News special report.
Wasn't me.
And it goes a little something like this. A Florida man in November had his meth hidden under his member. With a not guilty plea, he proclaimed, "Wasn't me." Hope his new cellmate Bubba will be tender.
It wasn't me.
Reporting live from the Indian River County Jail, where I hope the cops don't notice this bottle of Jose Cuervo Reserva de la Familia that I've got stashed underneath my ding-a-ling. Fortunately, thanks to my size, it's almost completely hidden. My name is Cruz, and that is your...
Drinking news, drinking news. That's our time for drinking news.
Cheers, y'all. All right, so... I started to get a little choked up there. I had
The
to...
cojones that guy had
Yeah.
to say that.
Wasn't me.
So,
Good way of saying it.
parts of the world, is there a meth fairy that comes to visit you at night?
Yeah,
The-
Sarah,
the
up here,
the
yeah,
little,
yeah, yeah.
Dutch children or
Yeah,
somewhere
right.
that,
Right. Under your pillow, under your
Yeah.
penis.
When you-
Yeah,
when you-
exactly. That's good.
Hold on, this is when you lose your teeth from the meth, you put your tooth under the pillow.
There you
Yeah.
go.
And the meth fairy comes along and puts a little vial under,
How do you do that argument in court? Like, seriously, I could see you saying, well, that's not me on the tape. That's someone that looks like me. That's this, that, and the other. But that wasn't under my own. I didn't know that was
But it
there.
wasn't- But I didn't put it there. It
I
wasn't me.
didn't put it there.
I don't know how
Wasn't
I got
me,
that.
no.
Who came up and put that there?
It was the meth fairy. My mother told me about the meth fairy.
Yeah, that's right. Kids, there's a few things we have to tell you about. There's Santa Claus, there's the Easter Bunny, and there's the meth fairy.
The meth fairy believes in me.
Yeah, the meth fairy believes
I
in
can
you.
do anything with the meth fairy.
All right, let's talk about something that's legal and potentially intoxicating.
Sweet Magnolias.
Yeah, this is
Imperial Stout Ale aged in bourbon barrels with bananas, Madagascar, vanilla beans, and Nilla wafers added.
It's wonderful.
It is.
Love it.
It really is
Love
good.
it.
Let me tell you what is
Madagascar
good.
vanilla beans and bananas.
I get the banana. I
And vanilla
definitely
wafers.
was
Vanilla
getting
and
like a
vanilla
ripe
wafers.
banana.
Am I the only person that when you get a package of vanilla wafers, the first thing you do is open it and then leave it there overnight?
So you like them a little soggy.
They got to be a little on the stale
Oh,
side.
no.
Okay.
Oh, I didn't know
So
that.
good.
No,
Wouldn't have
I
thought
usually just
so.
open them and go right in.
So I used to be really
A
excited
little
when I
bit
saw
stale is perfect.
vanilla wafers because I thought, oh, this might mean banana pudding is in my future.
Yes.
But my wife actually makes banana pudding with those Chessmen cookies that
That's what, that's what
Pepperidge
my wife
Farm.
they're
does.
wonderful.
Yes.
Oh my God, they're so
Oh,
good.
now you've blown
Makes
my
them the
mind.
best.
Hey,
Banana
Ian, you
pudding.
know how I know you don't have kids? Because you can leave a thing of Nilla wafers on the cabinet all night long and it still be there the next day.
That's like my friend Dave. His wife,
There's that, I suppose.
his wife Gwen loves those Peeps, those marshmallow candies they release at Easter.
Yeah.
Except she doesn't like them unless she pokes holes in the cellophane and lets them become slightly stale and crunchy.
Well, they
And
have to
that's-
breathe.
That's
Have
when
to
she
breathe.
likes
They have
it,
to
yeah.
breathe.
Have to
Those poor
breathe.
chicks.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ian, the brewery is
This
first of
beer
all.
is outrageous.
Yes, the brewery is first of all an outrageously reputable establishment. These guys have been making amazing beers like this for better part of a decade.
Wow.
And this one is maybe one of the better ones of theirs that I've tasted. Would you agree with that?
Oh yeah, this is outrageously good.
Yeah,
it's so good.
It's really delicious.
The bananas, especially after the finish, it leaves this like banana yumminess.
What is
But
the
it
alcohol
doesn't.
content?
It doesn't taste like banana flavor.
Right.
It tastes like actual
Right.
bananas.
It doesn't taste like they
Oh, yes.
added banana flavor.
Oh, yeah.
Like
Pat was
real
asking,
bananas.
what's the ABV on
Oh,
this?
do you really want to know, Pat?
I don't.
like ripe
but tell me
bananas.
anyway.
It's
18.1%.
Dear.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, dear.
Wow.
I knew it.
Like
had
you
to
can
be
almost
a
set this
number.
on fire.
So that lager that we had at the beginning was what, about 5?
yeah,
And
something
this
like
is
that.
18 point
18.
something.
You know, it's
Wow.
earned.
We tripled it.
It's
It's
earned.
so good. This is
18
so
was
good.
I just go back to why I don't want to do Zoom calls after the show.
No more Zoom calls for you. This
The
is
oak,
fabulous.
the oakiness and the
Yes.
banana-ness, like they just form like Voltron. There's something going on there. I don't know if I get Nilla wafered, but there is kind of a sugary.
That's because the
Cookiness.
banana actually and the Nilla
Right,
wafer,
'cause-
we're used to that working together. You know what I mean?
yes,
Banana
from-
pudding style.
From Nanner Pudding.
Yeah.
And also from the special type of sandwiches that Elvis liked.
And
yes,
burnt-
yes.
fried
With burnt bacon,
and
fried
bananas.
bananas,
Yeah.
This
and
almost
no
brings
banana
a
and
wafers.
peanut
tear
butter.
to my eye. This is amazing.
It's
Yeah.
really
this
good.
doesn't have to be cold even.
no,
It doesn't need
no,
to be
It's not
cold.
going to need any of that. Cold masks a lot of flavors. I don't think we need to mask any flavors in this.
No, there's flavors that deserve to be unmasked.
Sweet Magnolia.
Sweet Magnolia.
Sweet Magnolia, so good.
Wow, would you say that's one of the better stouts we've ever had on the show at 357?
100%. That
episodes?
is so good. This I would definitely drink floating down the river.
I bet we've had between 75 and 100 stouts on the show.
Oh, wow.
Oh, at least.
Over time, right?
Again, no Zoom calls
Right
after the show.
Exactly.
Nope.
Probably no calls after the show.
Yeah, no, exactly. Except to Uber. That's
Yes,
it. I just feel like Terry, have I not passed you?
No, you're good. I was saying my time's shut off. Did yours?
No, I'm still going, and we got a couple of minutes.
Good,
Thanks
okay.
for checking. I thought maybe you were pointing at the
So
beer going,
good.
I didn't get mine.
my time shut off, and I was like, oh no.
I got to say though, out of all of the stouts we've had, this is one of the better ones.
Oh, and if you go back to the whiskey, if you have any whiskey that
I would.
hasn't evaporated,
Yeah.
And then go for the pipe, too.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
pipe.
it brings out like
what this is all
chocolate
about.
in the whiskey that I didn't have. I had no clue was even there.
Yeah.
There's like a chocolatiness that, like, wow, did not expect.
So interestingly,
Hope people are thinking Christmas gifts here.
yeah.
For some reason. Something tells me
Yeah.
you should
I will
think
tell
about
you,
that.
this is a legitimate Christmas gift. Like, you're not being an El Cheapo if you give them one bottle of this.
Oh.
Because that's about a
I was
$38
gonna say
bottle
30 bucks
of
is-
yeah,
Wow.
of beer right there.
Wow.
But I'm going to be so bold as to say worth every penny.
I'm gonna tell you, when you buy a beer that is what is this, 12.7 fluid ounces, and it costs $38. That's pretty expensive, but
Yeah.
holy Toledo, that's good.
Yeah,
Really
think
good.
about this. That is only 0.7 ounces larger than a Bud Light.
Yeah.
What's
You know?
what, half a wine bottle, basically? 375?
Yeah,
Yeah, so,
But again, I'm just going to say, well worth it.
Holy
Well,
mackerel.
and I would just speak to the quality of the brewery, which, by the way, the brewery is spelled Bruery.
I noticed that.
That the quality of these guys overall,
Yeah.
I don't think we've ever had anything of theirs that was less than
they're
outstanding.
so willing to go way outside the box. Like their flavor profiles can go all over the place.
Where are they from?
California,
Yeah, they're from
California.
Orange County.
Petaluma, I think, California. But I will say
It says OCCA.
Placentia, California. But I will say these guys are to, like, stouts and bigger beers what the folks at Ingenious here in the Houston area are to IPAs.
Right.
Yeah, those
right.
guys just, there's nothing they won't try.
It's
you
just
know?
outrageous.
Yeah, just
ridiculous.
big and outrageous all the time, and it just kind of keeps going. I gotta say, I feel really good about this show because in addition to some really great pipe tobacco, we had a drinking news that everyone seemed to enjoy. We've had some exceptional whiskey. This Sweet Magnolias from the brewery is great, and we had Nicolas Cage stuff. So, I mean, is anything really missing from this?
I mean,
Dancing Girls?
What else is there?
Dancing girls.
That's maybe the only thing I can
And beautiful weather, I'd like to say
weather.
today. The weather
Yeah,
has
I
been
mean, what a
amazing
great
today.
patio to do
Yeah.
this on. Fabulous.
Well, we do still have one final segment coming up, so stick around to see if we manage to fit in the Dancing Girls. It's Smoking and Toasting, and we'll be right back.
Pat, get your skirt on.
Welcome back. It's Smoking and Toasting. What a fun episode this has been. We have done the entire thing on location at the Railyard. And the Railyard is a wonderful bar in Houston, Texas, near the 610 Loop off of San Felipe, close to where our offices are, where we normally do the show in the studio. And it's been a lot of fun to be here and to hang out and talk whiskey and talk pipes. And we, of course, love hanging out with Trey.
Where everything is 18 proof.
That's right. That's right.
Amazing.
The
Yeah.
beer's so
All
good.
the beers, at least.
Yeah.
Well, I
And-
want to say thank you all for coming out here. It's been
Well,
a
thank
beautiful
you.
day on the patio, and I've really enjoyed everything that you brought and my first pipe. So, we'll always
I
remember.
really hope you've enjoyed it. And Ian, thanks
Absolutely.
for walking us through all the pipe stuff. That's
man, no problem.
essential
Pipes are
and
fun.
important. I'd like to point out, by the way, just in case you think we may have made up anything that we bring you on Drinking News, we always find it somewhere. And just in case you think we may have made up the Nicolas Cage news, it came from one of the most reputable sources in the world. It came from Popular Mechanics magazine.
Wow.
And I'm not even kidding you.
Really?
Popular Mechanics magazine is the place where you can read that story about Nicolas Cage. So
I
knock
can't.
yourself
I
out.
don't even know what to say about that.
Yeah,
Popular
right.
Mechanics.
I think he bought Popular Mechanics.
Maybe he did. I wouldn't be surprised.
That's why.
He bought it with Lisa Marie Presley when they were married.
PR piece.
I think it was either be Superman in the movies or buy Popular Mechanics, and so that's where he went. I will say though that you'll find it sandwiched in between a fascinating article about a new super tank and the aircraft carrier that will take over the world. That's what you find in Popular Mechanics. So, this has been great fun. Thank you again, Trey, for inviting us to do our pipe show here. This has been one of the more fun pipe shows we've ever done, I think. So,
Absolutely. We'd love to have you. I mean, it's been a wonderful day.
And you just got to practice up on your pipe so that next year.
I know. I got to
like-
keep it lit. I mean, I'm just puffing, lit, and dies.
by the way, we didn't get to this. I like to do it every pipe show. Ian, would you demonstrate the proper use of this very long stem
So
pipe?
this is known as a Churchill or a church warden stem. And I have it here. This is my own little bit of irony. Is I have it on
A meerschaum.
a Missouri Meerschaum corncob pipe. So it's a little up class, it's a little down class. But the beautiful thing about a Missouri Meerschaum pipe is when you have it, or about a church warden pipe, is when you have it in your mouth, and you do that thing where you take it out of your mouth like you're about to say something. It brings a level of gravitas, and especially if you go to point with it. So, you have to look off in the distance a little bit, and you got to kind of take it out of your mouth and
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
then
Yeah.
don't say it.
Everybody listens.
That's right.
That's right. That's
You
right.
have our undivided.
Distinguished gentleman pointing, but not
he's
pointing.
a smart man.
An extinguished
pretty awesome,
gentleman.
An extinguished.
And then after you do it and you don't say anything, and then you point it again, then you say something about Nicolas Cage.
Right.
So it's just
People
how.
pay attention.
Con Air, a classic.
Con Air.
Hey, be sure to
Classic.
check out his new show on Netflix where he talks about curse words.
And I could just hear that now.
And it's
so I
a
have-
real show.
Welcome
I'm
back
not
to the
making that
Nicolas
up.
Cage Network.
Yeah, I have to try that. Coming up on our show next week, our cocktail expert and bartender friend Chris Morris joins us to talk holiday cocktails and make holiday cocktails.
Oh, that's gonna be
which
fun.
will be awesome. And yeah, no Zoom calls after that show. And then the following week, our Christmas show. Our producer Adam in the Sky will be back with us in studio on camera, tasting Christmas beers with us and having our holiday party on air.
How fun.
And then the following week, this will air on the 30th of December. We'll be talking New Year's champagne and sparkling wine with our wine expert, Mark Burrell. So that is all to be looked
That's going to
forward
be
to.
amazing.
So a lot of good things coming. Thank you guys for being a part of Smoking and Toasting. Thank you again, Trey, for letting us do the show here. Pat, thank you for joining us. And
Snakes on a plane.
Snakes on a plane. F them, I don't care. Have a wonderful week, everybody. Ian, happy holidays, brother.
Good to see you, baby.
And you guys that are a part of our little Smoking and Toasting network, thank you for being here, for listening to us however you get us. And until we meet you again, as we like to say here on the show, cheers y'all.
Cheers.